Ohio is lost? No. No. No, don't say that. No, don't say that. Shut up. Don't say that. Who the fuck is voting for Ramaswamy? He won by 83 fucking %. Oh man, I am upset. I predicted that Casey pretty much fucking nuked himself with his, like, he thought he was being 700 IQ by doing that, like, weird Trump shit he did a few months ago, and I was like, I'm pretty sure he just nuked his chance at winning. I'm pretty sure it's fucking over. I don't want it to be over, because I don't want Ramaswamy to win fucking Ohio, but I think he kind of fucked himself. That's so sad, dude. I am so upset. He said, so is BlackRock going to just buy all the boomers' houses when they die? And a fucking BlackRock fact-checking, like, premium account responded to him and said, you must be confused. BlackRock doesn't buy single-family homes. Learn more here. So I guess they can just lie and ignore the fact that they have a giant subsidiary that they buy single-family homes through. Like, we even had an entire arc during, like, the squatter season in New York where we were talking about going to squat in BlackRock-owned homes. Like, how bad do you have to lie about this shit? Can we be serious for a second, man? We investigated ourselves and found we did nothing wrong. It's absolutely obnoxious. Scott Adams' ex-wife and caretaker, Shelly Miles, passes away. In January, legendary cartoonist and MAGA thought leader Scott Adams passed away at 68 after a battle with prostate cancer. In addition to the Dilbert comic strip, Adams has a podcast dubbed Coffee with Scott Adams, where he often voiced his support for President Trump. Adams' ex-wife, Shelly Miles, lovingly cared for Scott in his final days, and it was Shelly who announced his passing on a Coffee with Scott Adams live stream. Shelly also shared the beautiful message that Scott accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior before he passed. Sadly, today, Coffee with Scott Adams shared that Shelly has passed away. I'm going to give you some information co-host Erica shared, and I'm going to be a little bit limited and vague about the details. That's what I want you guys to be okay with. What we are about to share with you now is going to be limited. We understand that what you're going to hear is going to be difficult, and that many of you will have questions. We're asking respectfully that some things just need to remain private. I really need everyone to be okay with that we're going to keep this information limited. With the family's permission, we're sharing that information now. Shelly has passed away. This is something that the three of us have known for a while and have been holding it quietly until the family felt ready for it to be shared. We know this is shocking and it almost feels impossible to take in, and we felt that same way too. Out of respect for Shelly's husband and Shelly's daughter and her entire family, we won't be sharing the personal details. I know you can all appreciate that this family deserves privacy, and we're going to make sure that we honor that, all of us collectively. What we can say is that Shelly was an extraordinary person. She was kind, thoughtful, and the kind of person you meet and instantly care about. That's really sad. I know that, like, when people become end-of-life caretakers, sometimes when the person they're taking care of dies, they can have, like, a bit of a mental break. So it's just really unfortunate that she also seems to have passed away here. I just hope she didn't suffer, because that's horrible. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. His ex-wife became his caretaker. Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, why, I guess, they were divorced when she wanted to be his caretaker and obviously was very distraught by his passing. But not my relationship to really pry into. So MTV posted prettiest girl in the whole world and then posted pictures of the man Hunter Schafer at the Met Gala. And Genevieve Gluck here said, Hunter Schafer's deleted Instagram post from 2018 is so disturbing that the Daily Mail once mistook it for a school shooter's manifesto. My sexual orientation was not gay, it was not straight, is an attraction always to misogyny. Not feeling femme enough without being a victim of rape. The idea of being eaten used to arouse me. And I immediately saw this and I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Is Genevieve mistaken? Because I could have sworn this came out and everyone was talking about it as part of the manifesto from the Christian school shooter who was a female to male trans person, right? Like, I thought this was from that manifesto. Apparently that is entirely wrong. This is not from a trans shooter tranifesto. This is just from Hunter Schafer's, like, weird ass fucking brain. What the fuck? No wonder the Daily Mail mistook it for a shooter's manifesto, because it is indeed absolutely crazy. Is this how we found out that Hunter Schafer is an AGP and people wanted this person to play Zelda? Yeah, I guess this is how we found out Hunter Schafer is an AGP. That's fucking crazy. That is insane. Imagine that. The insane degenerates are violently insane. Who's Hunter Schafer? You might know Hunter Schafer from when Twitter wanted him to play Zelda in a Legend of Zelda movie. They were just like, he's perfect for the part. He looks exactly like her. This is Hunter Schafer. This shot kind of looks like it would be one of those like stepmothers that turns into a demon in a Chinese horror video game. I mean, with their likelihoods for violence, that might eventually be a shooter. Oh man, just more evidence of the trans to shooter pipeline. Yeah, and I was like, there's no fucking way. This is a thread from February 22nd, 2025. Never forget that Hunter Schafer said his gender was influenced by a need to be used by men, and that his sexual orientation is an attraction to misogyny.
So I'm sure most of us remember on, I think, the first day of Trump's presidency, he signed an executive order to declare only 2 genders recognized by the state, male and female, assigned at birth.
They're not assigned, they're observed.
To this, because our president, you know, is a lot of talk, was like, I'll believe it when I see it.
I do have a hair clip.
And today, I saw it on my new passport mail. I'm not making this post to fearmonger or to create drama or receive consolation. I don't need it, but I do think it's worth posting to sort of note the reality of the situation and that it is actually happening. And I was shocked. I also want to say, I don't give a fuck that they put an M on my...
I just want to take a second here, right? Remember when a lot of trans activists lied to you and they were like, no one's trying to say they're male or female. Man and woman are the gender identities and male and female are the biological sexes. All right, then why are we talking about the biological sex marker on your passport? Why would you be allowed to change that if the gender identity is different? You're not a biological female. No matter how many times you lie about it, you're not going to be a biological female. That doesn't even make any fucking sense.
My passport, it doesn't change really anything about me or my transness. However, it does make life a little harder. And thinking about other trans women who this might also be happening to, or other trans people, you know, the list only gets longer as far as the intricacies that come along with the difficulty that this brings into real life shit.
What?
Trans people are beautiful. We are never going to stop existing. I'm never gonna stop being trans. A letter and a passport can't change that, and fuck.
If the letter and a passport can't change that, then how can changing a letter on your passport reinforce your identity? Can you explain that to me? Why would you need to change it in the first place if it doesn't change anything at all? Is it just getting people to follow along with your fetishes unwittingly? Is that the whole point? Maybe? Little guy? Hunter Schafer's deleted Instagram post from 2018 is so disturbing that the Daily Mail once mistook it for a shooter's manifesto. My gender was so influenced by a need to be used by men. My sexual orientation was not gay, straight. It is an attraction always to misogyny. Not feeling femme enough without being a victim of rape. The idea of being eaten used to arouse me. I genuinely thought that this was from that shooter's manifesto, because that's what everyone reported it as. That's fucking wild that it's not from a deranged shooter's manifesto, but just from a deranged fetishistic activist's mind.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
A former FedEx driver has been sentenced to death after he pleaded guilty to killing a 7-year-old girl he took from her Texas home while delivering a Christmas gift. Jurors in a Fort Worth courtroom decided on Tanner Horner's punishment after hearing about a month of testimony and evidence that included audio of Athena Strand's last moments from inside his delivery van. Horner, 34, pleaded guilty to capital murder last month in the 2022 killing, just as his trial began. Athena's body was found 2 days after she was reported missing from her home in the rural town of Paradise near Fort Worth. Horner didn't visibly react when the judge read the sentence, according to a live stream of the court proceedings. Jurors found that there was a probability Horner would commit criminal violence and be a continuing threat to society. They said there was nothing in the commission of the crime or in Horner's background to warrant life without parole instead of death. Prosecutor James Stainton told jurors in opening statements that Horner had told lie upon lie, upon lie, upon lie in the case, telling authorities that he accidentally struck Athena with his van while making the delivery and then killed her in a fit of panic. Several jurors cried as they were shown video and heard audio from inside the van after Athena was taken. He could be seen lifting her into the van and then driving away, telling her not to scream or he'd hurt her. Horner then covered the camera, but the audio continued recording. Horner asks Athena questions, including how old she is and where she goes to school, before stopping the van and telling her that they're going to hang out. Horner tells her to take off her shirt, and she begins crying, asking what he's doing and whether he's a kidnapper. She cries no and asks for her mother and to go home. She asks him, "Why are you doing this?" And he replies, "Because you are pretty. My mom says I can't do that to somebody," she tells him, "and you can't do that to me either." As the recording, which lasts for over an hour, continues, Athena's screams can be heard as well as choking and slamming noises. At one point, he tells her, "If you don't shut up, I will hurt you worse." A medical examiner testified that Athena died of blunt force injuries with smothering and strangulation. While acknowledging during opening statements that the evidence against Horner was overwhelming and terrible, Horner's attorney, Stephen Goebel, told jurors that Horner's mother drank while she was I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck what led him to do this. The fact that he did it is enough. Death penalty, thank God, has been applied. That he has autism and suffered from various mental illnesses throughout his life. I don't care. In addition to being exposed to a massive amount of lead, I just don't care. If you do not have the functionability to understand that doing what he did to this child is wrong, he should not be allowed back in society. What are we doing here? What are you talking about? Goebel had asked jurors to sentence Horner to life in prison. Athena's family has said that the package Horner dropped off was a Christmas present for her, a box of You Can Be Anything Barbies. The trial was moved from rural Wise County to Fort Worth after Horner's attorneys argued that he would not receive a fair trial. So we've been talking about how we need the death penalty and too many people are getting off on crimes like rape and murder. And my one contention was the death penalty is correct, but if the death penalty is being given to this white man, we must ask, why can we not give the penalty to anyone who is not white? Because it seems like anyone who is not white is not allowed to receive the death penalty. This man 100% fucking deserves it. He deserves the death penalty, and hopefully it can come to him swiftly. But there are so many cases in which the death penalty should be given, and instead of the death penalty, or even permanent incarceration, they're just told, oh, okay, I guess you can leave now. So it's kind of like, that's a little strange. That's a little strange, in my opinion. Ex-JPMorgan banker Chirayu Rana pretended his dad was dead to get bereavement leave, but he's alive and spoke to the Post this weekend. And a lot of people commenting on this on Twitter were just like, who the fuck would pretend that their dad died? That rich sociopath in finance that I dated many years ago lied about his father having a heart attack so that he could get out of going on a trip with me because he was lying to me about seeing another woman. So spiritually, that guy might be Indian. The ex-JPMorgan Chase banker who accused a glamorous female colleague of forcing him to become her sex slave lied to the bank about his father dying so that he could collect nearly 3 months of paid leave, and apparently used the time off to prepare the bombshell lawsuit against Lorna Hajdini and his employer. That's fucking crazy. Sources said that Chirayu Rana, 35, informed supervisors in mid-December 2024 about the supposed death of his father, Chaitanya, and that he needed to take time off of work to be with his family, stringing together various forms of paid leave, in addition to 5 days of bereavement. Man, it's time to play Finance Bro or Indian. Which one is it? It could be both. I saw someone else say, I guess you got your own brown boy. He was Greek, so I mean, maybe. Using Izzet to do more Izzet. He's losing all of it. He even got away with lying about his dad until this thing, man. The elder Rana is alive and well. The Post reached him on Sunday at the family's $1.75 million home in Vienna, Virginia, where he claimed he knew nothing of the highly contested legal dispute. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know anything about it. He didn't talk with us or anything. Chaitanya Rana told the Post, he's my son. He's a good guy. He's a good boy. Do not deplete his Izzat any further. Please, ma'am, sir. Please do not redeem. Please, ma'am. Please, sir. Please. The now unemployed money man, who the Post exclusively unmasked as a John Doe behind the eye-popping... Fuck you. The John Doe behind the eye-popping claims against the 37-year-old Hajdini was allowed to work remotely from the fall of 2024 when he had first flagged to the bank's top brass. Okay, that his father was seriously ill. Sources... I was like... The way the sentence is written is weird. I'm having PTSD flashbacks. He then exhausted a string of leave allowances between early March and the end of May last year, when an initial draft complaint was sent to the bank's legal team. The people familiar with the matter said. One source with direct knowledge of its content said it read, in or around November 2024, the plaintiff's father passed away, and he went to his parents' home in Virginia. The company thought he was working through something, said one source. You can tell he was trying to play the system. Attorney Greg Chiarello, who did not reply for a request for comment, prepared the May 2024 document, which also claimed Rana's mother, Baruna, was sick. Rana finally filed his complaint nearly a year later on April 28th in New York County Supreme Court under the pseudonym John Doe, accusing Executive Director Lorna Hajdini, 37, of drugging him with Rohypnol and Viagra, coercing him into degrading sex act, and threatening his career if he refused. Last week, however, the Post revealed that Rana never reported to Hajdini during his short stint with JPMorgan, and that the pair were under two different managing directors. A JPMorgan internal organization chart, obtained and reviewed by the Post on Monday, shows that Hajdini has no direct reports in her role on the bank's leveraged finance team. A JPMorgan spokesperson declined to comment beyond the bank statement issued last week. A spokesman told the Post on Thursday that JPMorgan internal investigation reviewed emails, phone records, and witness statements and found no evidence supporting the claims, adding that John Doe refused to cooperate. Rana's suit was yanked from the docket on Wednesday evening after the Daily Mail broke the news of the complaint. A revised document appeared online Monday after his legal team said court officials had asked for procedural corrections to be made. The document spells out in lurid detail the claims that the 35-year-old had made against his former colleague. His attorney, Daniel J. Kaiser, did not respond to the Post request for comment. Hajdini's lawyers referred to the Post back to their blanket denial issued on Friday. Lorna categorically denies the allegations, they said. She never engaged in any appropriate conduct with this individual of any kind and has never even been to the location where the alleged sexual assault supposedly took place. The Post also revealed that Rana left his job at private equity firm Briegel Sagemount on April 2nd, just over 3 weeks before filing the lawsuit. His biography is still on the firm's website. Screenshots widely shared online showed Rana seemingly consulting a legal chatbot as early as July 2024, nearly a year before the filing. Even if it's all wrong and proven, you can't imagine the fucking comments made by colleagues at work around this woman, all the stupid jokes. Yeah, that's gonna be fucking obnoxious to have to deal with. In that exchange, he described nearly identical allegations, including being raped and drugged by a boss, but attributed them to Morgan Stanley and referred to the abuser as he. Once again, when I first covered this, he probably was like, hold on, it'll deplete some Izzat if I come out as having been raped by a man, because then people will think I'm gay. The Rutgers alum and one-time student basketball player did not join JPMorgan's leverage finance team until spring 2024. His journeyman career in finance has included stints at Houlihan Lokey, Credit Suisse, TCG Capital Markets, blah, 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 we know that. Hajdini is a 15-year JPMorgan veteran and NYU Stern School of Business graduate who studies for sommelier exams in her spare time and volunteers with a nonprofit that helps low-income students attend college. Colleagues described her as a top performer. Now, why I was pushing back so much on this father probably knew what was going on? Alleged JPMorgan sex slave doubles down with new claims in bombshell lawsuit as he adds allegations of PTSD, a wild threesome offer, and a friend who heard him beg her to stop. Wow. he found close friends and or relatives who would help him lie to protect his Izzat. It's almost like this is a cultural problem. A fucking DLC dropped, dude. Among the new evidence is a first-person affidavit from Rana detailing his claims and explaining why he is still seeking to proceed anonymously in the case. I think it's a bit late for that one, buddy. In addition to a statement from a witness who claims Hajdini propositioned them for a drunken threesome with Rana. I'm willing to bet any of these witnesses are also Indians. I would put money on this. Where's the poly market bet, dude? In a copy of the affidavit obtained by the Daily Mail, Rana says he was diagnosed with PTSD in October 2025, which he attributes to the alleged assaults. His symptoms allegedly include sleep deprivation due to recurring nightmares, flashbacks tied to the JPMC workplace, fainting episodes, and anger dysregulation directed at family or loved ones. This just sounds like the average life of an Indian male. What does he mean? Rana claims he first sought clinical mental health treatment in February 2025, 3 months before he raised the sexual harassment and abuse claims against Hajdini internally at JPMorgan, as alleged in his lawsuit. By June 2025, after being placed on involuntary leave, he said he was unable to sleep or eat, claiming he was hearing the voice of Hajdini in his head, and feared for his and his family's safety amid a series of alleged threats. Bro. Get drunk, rape, pass out, forget, lie for personal gain, yep. A letter from Rana's counselor, Jonathan Alpert, is also attached, stating he has been treated for symptoms consistent with PTSD related to the workplace experiences at issue in this case. In treatment, Rana has reported significant anxiety, intrusive thoughts, and a heightened sensitivity to exposure and perceived threat, the letter states. As part of the affidavit, Rana says he applied to New York's address confidentiality program, typically used by victims of crime who fear retaliation and wish to conceal where they live, following a referral from an intimate partner and sexual violence specialist with the New York County District Attorney's Office. You see, these programs sound pretty nice in theory, but then when you call and ask about them, they tell you that like, oh, we have to collect all your mail and then you'll get it delivered once a month. That's incredibly inconvenient. And I would imagine deters a lot of victims from wanting to use a service like that. Rana alleges the specialist was assigned to him as part of an open criminal investigation into his claims against Hajdini. According to the filing, the New York County District Attorney's Office has not responded to the Daily Mail's request for comment on whether this is true or if there was such an investigation. Rana's attorney told the Daily Mail it is his understanding where there is an active investigation, though he said his knowledge of what the DA is doing is limited. The Daily Mail contacted an attorney for Hajdini for comment but has not received a response. Also included in the updated filing are 2 sworn statements from anonymous witnesses who say they observed some of the alleged harassment and abuse. One alleged witness said that they were staying at an apartment with Rana in September 2024 when they were awoken in the night by a woman who was clearly intoxicated and speaking loudly. Rana later identified the woman as Hajdini according to the statement. Oh, that's nice. He closed the loophole where he said that she came to his house to do this, because we read that and I was like, wait a minute. Wouldn't his wife be home? How would his wife not see this intoxicated woman trying to rape him if he was at home when this happened? So now it's changed to, instead of being at his home, it was at an apartment where there was someone else who was a witness. Yeah, about the wife. I'm sure we can get her phone GPS for that night in question. Oh, I'm sure. The wife was in the aquarium. My fish-headed wife, no! A short while later, I was awoken by Miss Hajdini, who was completely naked, the witness wrote. Miss Hajdini sat on the couch and lit a cigarette. She then asked me to come to the bedroom with her and join them. I told her no. She said, come join, and I again told her no. Bro, I don't even sit on my own couch without, like, underwear on, man. That's kind of gross, dude. Like, what? I thought, I don't, you know, especially if it's after sex, like, wouldn't she be leaking? That's kind of gross. The witness at Hajdini then told them, you know, I own Rana, so you'd better come join. What? They again refused, and Hajdini returned to the bedroom and closed the door, according to the filing. This is insane. This is like the one white person that's ever tried to rape Indian men. And they're just like all closing the wagons. We need this story about a white woman desiring Indian men to be real. We need it to be real. We can't go back to raping monitor lizards. From inside, the witness said they heard arguing with Rana loudly pleading with Hajdini to stop and to leave. It became quiet, and then sometime later, Hajdini came out of the bedroom and left the apartment. That's gonna be my himbo after the 10th time. Please, Foxwoman, no more. The mind and heart wants it, but the flesh is weak. Rana then emerged in a state of shock and embarrassment, according to the witness statement, claiming he told them Hajdini had repeatedly harassed him and forced him to engage in sexual behavior. A second alleged witness said Rana confided in mid-2024 that a woman from his workplace, identified as Hajdini, was making his life hell through harassment and blackmail. The witness said he later saw the pair together in the street, where they observed Hajdini kissing Rana's neck and grabbing him, while Rana appeared uncomfortable, according to the statement. He did not appear interested in the woman, and I did not see him reciprocate in any way, the witness said. In another alleged encounter in September 2024, the witness said in the statement that they overheard Hajdini say something to the effect of, "I own you, brownie." I mean, maybe she just really liked brownies instead of cupcakes, man. Like, in his complaint, Rana alleges he was sexually assaulted by Hajdini the same night. Last week, Hajdini's attorney denied the allegations in the complaint when initially filed in their entirety. She never engaged in any inappropriate conduct with this individual of any kind and has never even been to the location where the alleged sexual assault supposedly took place. A spokesperson for JPMC similarly said the company does not believe there's any merit to these claims. While numerous employees cooperated with the investigation, the complainant refused to participate and has declined to provide facts that would be central to support his allegations. The biggest reason why, even if you had a little bit of doubt, like, okay, maybe there is some weird sex-craved tiny white woman out there wanting to rape Indian SARS, him not wanting to participate in the investigation is a huge fucking red flag. Former colleagues of Rana's at JPMorgan told the Daily Mail they were shocked by the allegations, with one likening them to fan fiction and others expressing sympathy for Hajdini. Rana was married at the time he claims the alleged abuse began. It is unclear whether he is still married. His attorney, Michael Kaiser, said he was not authorized to discuss Rana's personal life, but said his client has been personally and professionally destroyed by the alleged abuse. I wonder if his fish head of a wife was like, "Husband, please, we do not need Izat. We in land of opportunity. Husband, please, just work hard. Make family proud. Do not lie for Izat, husband." And he did it anyways, and so she was like, "Well, fuck you, guy, I'm leaving." Daily Mail visited Rana's parents' $1.75 million home in Vienna, Virginia on Friday. A man who answered the door confirmed Rana's family lives there, but said Rana does not and rarely visits. He said he was unaware of the allegations, but expressed support for Rana. Hey, yo, what a retard. When reached by phone, his mother, Baruna Rana, man, their names are fun to say though. Baruna Rana sounds like something you would say in a song, spoke briefly before saying sorry and abruptly hanging up. That's not weird at all. Rana's tenure at JPMorgan appeared to come to a head in mid-2025. In May 2025, he filed an internal complaint of discrimination and harassment, alleging a pattern of sexual abuse and racial discrimination, according to his lawsuit. He was placed on involuntary administrative leave on June 6th, a day after being reprimanded by a superior, according to the complaint. He left the company more than 3 months later. Rana's attorney said his client had spent months attempting to resolve the matter privately, but alleged JPMorgan repeatedly postponed and prolonged the settlement and mediation discussions. His decision to file the lawsuit came after a great deal of emotional and personal perseverance, Kaiser said. In the days since, a post on the website Ask a Lawyer from 10 months ago has emerged online. We read that the first time I covered this, purporting to show a person by the name of Chirayu Rana seeking advice on filing a lawsuit against a male boss at Morgan Stanley. The date of the post is 4 months after Rana claims he sought mental health treatment relating to his allegations against Hajdini. Though leveled at a male boss at a different company, the post includes allegations similar to those made in Rana's lawsuit against Hajdini at JPMC. It is unclear whether the post was written by the same individual. Kaiser did not respond to the Daily Mail's request for comment about that post. You know, that's actually interesting. It's a shame that, like, Chirayu Rana has such a, like, unique name. Because it says it's unclear whether the post was written by the same individual. If his name was, like, fucking Rajesh Patel, he probably could get away with that. Like, that's not me. I'm not that Rajesh Patel. But considering his name is much more unique, he's gonna have a harder time pulling that one. Someone vandalized the Hannah Duston. What? Sad to see Hannah Duston has been vandalized. My husband is afraid I could damage the stone if I try scrubbing with a stiff brush and chemical stripper, so I contacted friends of the Northern Rail Trail to ask for assistance, hoping to hear back soon. Yeah, that's fucking wild, that you would vandalize a monument of a strong woman who scalped her captors who are going to rape and use her as slave labor, and who bashed her baby to death against a tree, killed her fellow townspeople, and yet somehow it's bad that she killed the people who did that to all of them? Like, what? What is wrong with you? She didn't save herself from white people, so she's guilty of murdering poor defenseless brown people. I hate that, man. But she was white! Yeah, white people are entitled to defend themselves from being raped and or murdered. Hot take. Can't say you're surprised at this point. This doesn't look like the Hannah Duston statue that's in Haverhill, so this is probably the New Hampshire one. I always forget which town the New Hampshire one is in. But this person already said that they've gotten a quick response. Thanks for your report. I've forwarded your email to the New Hampshire Department of Historic Sites, which is responsible for the memorial and has removed this type of damage in the past. I'll keep you up to date on their response. Love to hear stories of families caring for and enjoying the trail. Thank you. Keep track of volunteer hours on the trail. Well, that's nice. That's nice that she got a fast response. Tell you how much. You'll build another statue. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to the New Hampshire one. Yeah, she has the scalps in her hand and an axe. The Haverhill one, I think she only has an axe. It is a recurring issue, and there have been people trying to remove both this statue and the Haverhill one for several years now. There have been people saying that the statues are like hateful and racist, and so they need to be taken down instead of celebrated. And it's like, fuck that, actually. If there's one person that I want a monument to, it's a woman who saved herself from captivity after savages killed everyone in her fucking town. Right? Like, that's nuts, dude. Seriously, why are people trying to remove these statues? Because it's hateful? Because a white woman defended herself? That's so backwards and insane. It really is. I was almost taken hostage in Cuba. I went to Cuba to document the humanitarian crisis and show life under 60+ years of communism, and now amid the US blockade. Once I landed, they seized all my cameras except for my iPhone and had intelligence agents following me all day until I securely noticed, till my security noticed their spies tailing us to the hotel, where they waited all night for us to come down. Under communism, there is no free speech, and those who show the reality or speak up are imprisoned. Me going without a planned Cuban government guide nearly got me and my security taken hostage or imprisoned. The situation in Cuba is much worse than anyone knows.
We are currently being tailed by Cuban intelligence here in Havana, Cuba. I came here. I've been wanting to make a video for so long about life in communism and showing people what communism is like in a place like Cuba, for instance. Came here to make this video, and when people think about communism, they typically just think about how communism is supposed to make everything equal, whether it be the amount of money someone makes or how food's distributed and how the markets are then controlled by the government. However, something that people do not think about, including myself, is how in communism they do not have freedom of speech. They don't have freedom of press. And therefore, they want to make sure everything that
Is that really something that people don't know? That's like tier 1 tenet of any kind of communist or fascist government. You do not get freedom of speech. You do not get freedom of press. You do not get freedom, period. Is there actually people that don't know that? That's kind of fucking crazy.
Is posted or out in the world about their country is filtered or censored. So here in Cuba, as soon as I arrived into Cuba, I did everything that you need to do to...
Most people don't know anything about communism. Maybe his trip to Cuba was more necessary than previously thought. Like, maybe his video on the Cuban communism bullshit would show people what's happening to the US. Maybe, okay, I could give him a little leeway there.
Coming to Cuba as far as the documentations that it takes to come into Cuba. Right now, there's a big problem taking place here in Cuba. The largest humanitarian crisis they've had in maybe 50 years. And there's no oil or gas due to the blockade after Trump and the United States took over and captured Maduro. So Venezuela is no longer supporting Cuba with any oil or gas, and that also affects everything that they have essentially, between whether it be the food or from it being the light and the power shortages here, or just the gas alone. Here in Cuba, you hardly see any cars driving around because nobody can afford gas. For 1 liter of gas, it's $10. Okay, so where am I getting?
That's crazy.
Where am I getting from here? So I go out at the airport. They seize all of my cameras. They seize both my GoPros, my meta glasses. These are not my meta glasses. All my microphones. However, the only thing they don't take is my iPhone camera. That's what I'm filming this on right now. They don't take my iPhone camera, and somehow they didn't get this microphone that was in the very, very bottom of my backpack. So we get out and we go start to make the video asking Cubans about life in communism, showing what's going on with the blockade, showing kind of the downfall of Cuba.
He looked like really scared to finish that sentence. He seems nervous more than, like, obviously, yes, tired, but he seems very nervous. Marmalin, thank you. The normal Cuban documentary is done heavily with the communist government showing off good parts, i.e. Hasan, with whatever green movement he went with recently. People honestly don't understand how bad communism really is because it's not taught. And I mean, to be fair, like, a lot of stuff isn't allowed out of these countries, which is why a few years back on Poll, when some guy managed to, like, get connected to, I can't remember what Southeast Asian country it was. It wasn't Taiwan. Maybe it was Malaysia. I can't remember. He got some, like, access to, like, a Malaysian, like, TV satellite thing, and he was able to get the signal from North Korean television, and we all enjoyed watching North Korea TV for a while. And a few years after that, someone was able to even stream North Korean television on Twitch for a bit before it got, I don't know if they got bored or got taken down, but watching, like, what people inside of a communist nation have for entertainment, I think is a very interesting veil lift, right? Because everything is just supposed to look prim and proper and make the nation look good. They're not going to show anything that will make the nation look bad, and there's a hard cutoff time for, like, television programming as well. And it's like, I would absolutely be fascinated to see inside some of these places. It would be scary. I'd be, like, fucking nervous the entire time. But I think it would be a fascinating thing to, like, explore, even if you get given the, like, government railroad treatment, because it's like you know that they're showing you only the good parts, and so it's like, well, now I'm curious about the rest, you know?
One sec, I'm working on getting this out. Right now, we're currently planning our escape route out of Cuba right now, so I had to respond to take a message to get out of here somehow. So we go out into the streets and we start filming this video. We're showing people what life is like in Cuba right now, how there's hardly any cars out in the streets. The buildings are, like, crumbling, essentially. All the university is destroyed, the University of Cuba. There's hardly any food out for the people, and just the mass poverty that's taking place, and asking people about things such as communism, what life is like in Cuba. Well, when we're doing one interview near a hospital where there's a huge line outside the hospital, because here the hospitals aren't even working, essentially. The lines are taking forever, and with their hospital,
it's just like
and the government
Canada
controlling the hospital, that also affects the power. So right now you currently have surgeons doing operations with flashlights because there's no power inside of the hotel.
And when Hasan went to Cuba, the concert that they held there, basically, like, I guess shut down the electricity. They had, like, a malfunction or some shit. And so most of the island had no electricity except for the hotel that Hasan was staying at and a couple of other places. And there were reports that people who were on, like, ventilation or life support or whatever at the hospital had died when that happened. I don't know if there's if there's any way to verify if that's true or not, but that was what was purported at the time. In
the hospitals. Right now I'm in the only hotel in Havana that has 24/7 electricity, 24/7, because this is the only one that has that access. That's the reason why I booked this hotel, was because their website was the only one that was operating 24/7. All the other ones weren't. Jesus. So that's why I was able to get this hotel. And anyways, we're filming this video, and when we're next to the hospital, we see undercover cop roll up on us, and my security guards that are with me, they detected him, and then all of a sudden there's another one. So we hopped back in another taxi, we left the scene, and we thought we were good. They didn't tell us, and we left. But since we left the airport, we had been getting tailed, or the word had gotten out that there was a journalist inside of Cuba. There's only 2 flights that come in here every single day.
2 to 6 flights a day.
It wasn't hard to spot out who the journalist was, and that's what my tourist visa said. That's what my visa said. It said for journalistic activities. So you can come here. There's 12 categories in which you can come, and journalist activities is one of those. So therefore, that is why I came. And right now, it is currently 9:30, and we have Cuban intelligence down in the lobby of the hotel right now, working to essentially try to round us up and potentially imprison us or make it so we cannot leave Cuba. So right now we're coming with a game plan to escape Cuba. Our original flight is to leave on Saturday. Right now it's Thursday, so we're going to be leaving tomorrow morning if we can make it to the airport. We're about 1.5 miles away from the U.S. Embassy right now, which could be our possible way out of this situation by going to the embassy. However, that does not stop Cubans from stopping us before we get to the embassy. It's about 1.5 miles away, so we have to make it to the embassy. And right now there's 3 essentially Cuban spies down in the bottom of our hotel right now, and we have to figure out how we're going to escape.
Wait a minute. If they're Cuban intelligence officers operating in Cuba, do you still call them spies? Wouldn't they just be government agents at that point? Right? Because like, if you have like the CIA following you around in New York City, you wouldn't say you have American spies following you unless you were a foreign spy, maybe. Right? I don't know. Escape from Cuba was not the Kurt Russell sequel you were expecting.
Trying to get a hold of the embassy right now and see if we can stay there overnight, and then buy our airplane ticket last minute so that doesn't pull off any red flags to the Cuban government before we arrive. The Cuban
equivalent of glowy is true.
This is not a joke. When we talk about communism and we talk about the effect of communism, something that you often don't look at is the freedom of speech or the freedom of press to just simply be able to give.
Nick isn't the best with words sometimes. I mean, it still works. Like, I understood what he meant, but it just made me think like, huh, is that what you'd call them? Hold on, wait a minute.
Your opinion out in the public and have it be then posted by a journalist. That's all I was doing today, was asking people about the current situation, asked a few people about communism.
You're not allowed to ask questions under
really
communism,
was
comrade.
When this evening I left the hotel around 5 before sunset to go out, and the idea was we were going to go walk the streets of Cuba at night and show all the power shortage and how the lights get cut out and people don't have electricity at night. So we had planned to walk around the streets after the sun went down, and so I was conducting some interviews before the sun went down, and I asked a man about communism, and that's when we realized that the Cuban intelligence was at the hotel, because as soon as we walked out and I interviewed this man, he had a lady come up when I started talking about communism, and she started recording on the back. And we confronted her and said, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm not taking a photo. She said she's on a phone call, but her phone was open too.
I mean, he's kind of been around to places in the U.S. where people will, like, counter-film him. And so, like, I do believe that he's someone who knows quite a bit more about communism than the average person. But someone counter-filming you in the U.S. is just someone who's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna upload this and get so many updates because you're a Nazi and I'm a good guy. In a communist nation, someone counter-filming you is like, you're about to get black-bagged as soon as they report you, brother. You need to get the fuck away from that person filming. Like, I don't know if you know this, but in communist countries, it is very much encouraged to report anyone doing something suspicious in that manner. And it's like, he's not even doing a crime. It's not reporting a crime. It's reporting the thought crime against the communisms. You don't know if he announced that he was going to Cuba, but you have a feeling that somebody in the U.S. tipped the Cubans off that he was there and that he was a threat. I don't think so. I think it's because he got a journalist passport. I think if he had come in on a regular passport, it probably would have let him fly under the radar a bit. And this is also indicative of, right, like, us who are, like, center and center right and further right than that. most of us want to do things by the rules, right? We want to be honest and open. You cannot do that in a communist society. You cannot be honest and you cannot be open. If you are going to try and film anything to show what inside of communism is like, you have to lie like a commie in order to protect yourself.
The photo. And so one of my security guards stayed with me, the other went and followed her from behind, and he tracked her down, and she ended up noticing him as well, and she went to another Cuban intelligence.
I think all the camera gear he was carrying would have gotten him in trouble faster. I think that, like, yeah, as soon as he started going out with his camera crew and whatnot, that obviously would have raised huge fucking red flags. But it seems like this worked incredibly quickly. And unless you expect me to believe that a communist government is more efficient than a non-communist government, I would say that this was like a culmination of people seeing him on the street and reporting him, his passport being flagged as a journalist passport, not even a commie can put one and one together. Dishonesty is the only language the socialists understand, pretty much. They probably rewarded the lady snitch with half a hot dog.
Spy, and then they came to the hotel lobby, and before that, when we were eating lunch today, after we had gotten through customs at the airport.
As a journalist from the US, he was being watched from the moment his plane approached. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was saying. Like, since he had the journalist passport, or not passport, the journalist visa, rather, is what I mean. Since he had the journalist visa, I think as soon as he touched down, they were aware of who he was and where he was.
After they had seized all my stuff, my GoPros and my meta glasses and all my microphones, another man was at the hotel, and he was all by himself, and then this evening he was with the two Cuban spies in the lobby. So right now,
I mean, once again, it is encouraged under communism to snitch on people, because then you will be greatly rewarded and not punished by the government.
We are trying to plan our escape route. We have a few options. The main one is to leave here and then go play taxi tag, as far as hopping in another taxi to make sure we aren't getting trailed by them, and then make our way to the embassy, and then from the embassy buy our flight around 7 a.m., make it to the airport at 8 a.m., hop on our flight 8:30, and then be out of Cuba. The other options are we stay here in our hotel and hope they don't come and round us up in the middle of the night. The only problem is tomorrow is May 1st, and that is essentially their 4th of July here. We're just outside of the hotel we're staying at right now. They are going to have a huge march for communism, for the current president, and that's their July 4th parade, essentially. That is going to be taking place right outside our hotel. Had no idea that was happening beforehand, until we got to the hotel and they said that happens every single year. It's their biggest march. They do each and every single year, and it is for communism. You cannot speak out against communism when you live inside a communist country. Last time that happened in 2021 here in Cuba, lots of people were arrested, and it was not good. And the other times that happened were, I believe, like the 1960s. So communism does not allow the truth to be told. In fact, it just censors what people can do. And right now they are literally trying to kidnap and detain me and my two security guards that are here with me right now from leaving Cuba. And we're trying to do everything we can to somehow do something with this footage. And so if this video does make it out into the world, I have either been kidnapped or I am safe. If it's after May 1st, I am not kidnapped.
Yay,
but
not
if the
kidnapped.
video is alright, I'm not gonna get kidnapped, so I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, I would also be that nervous, if not more nervous. Like, this is a harrowing situation to be in, man.
So I'm going to post this video though to show you guys the risk that we're in right now, and we are going to make it out of Cuba. If there's a will, there's a way. But this is currently what we are planning right now and going through, because we legit have Cuban spies at the bottom of our hotel room. We're on the 8th floor right now. They're in the lobby right now, security guard.
He could benefit from some editing. I disagree. I think this kind of thing absolutely should be released the way that he released it, with as minimal editing as humanly possible.
Just went down to see what was going on, and they're all down there in the lobby. There's a few singers down at the restaurant right now, so we're thinking to go down, blend in, and then sneak our way out for the night and make our way to the embassy. This is probably the most dangerous situation I've ever been into. This is probably the most dangerous situation I've ever been in, especially when you have no power here, essentially because the United States and Cuba, they do not like each other. There's been an embargo since the 1960s here, where the United States has not allowed other businesses to do work with Cuba, and it's also then right now you have Trump even saying that he might have the pleasure of taking Cuba. And Marco Rubio, obviously, he has even said openly that he doesn't think a regime change would be bad, which it wouldn't. Look what's happening right now because of communism. They literally have spies downstairs right now trying to round us up before we're able to publish these videos. So if I make it out, this video gets seen. If it doesn't, I'm most likely in a prison cell, which I really hope is not the case. Third option is we somehow get to the embassy and we get a private jet and we make our way out. Other option is to steal a boat and take it all the way to the Coast Guard and then surrender to the U.S. Coast Guard and make our way into the United States. So those are pretty much our options right now. We have somebody outside, even on the street,
what a fucking life, dude.
in
That's
a blacked out
scary.
vehicle, eyeing us from our hotel room. And now we are trying to figure out what to do. Anyways, that is the current situation. I'm currently potentially about to be kidnapped here in Cuba. I hope that is not the case, but I think you guys should know exactly what is happening and the risk we are taking here in Cuba to try and show people the truth about the realities of communism and what's happening here in Cuba. All right, we'll see what happens. They're asking why are we trying to leave the hotel early.
Don't run! What the fuck? That's scary, man. More to come from 24 Hours in Cuba soon. Absolutely be shocked to see the reality went without a Cuban government tour guide. Hasan quote retweeted this and said, "I obviously don't believe this even a little bit, but it's ominous that this medically stupid dickhead is going to Cuba to manufacture propaganda for what I assume will be additional U.S. intervention." Well, first of all, this is a single journalist. He can't be responsible for any kind of U.S. intervention. Second of all, of course you'd be glazing the communist country that's absolutely falling apart because you want that to happen here so that you may rule over the rubble. I don't understand why communists are like this. But Nick responded, "Tell that to the 2-star general who waited all night for me to come out of my hotel room to interrogate me. You wouldn't believe the truth if it was in front of you anyways. You went to Cuba and still think communism is a good idea. Are you medically stupid?" And he thankfully has ratioed the Hasan man. It's like, that's crazy, bro. I don't know how to tell if this is a 2-star general, but it's obviously some sort of a military and or intelligence person. Of course, the champagne socialist opens his mouth. I mean, he has to defend communism wherever it presents itself.